Welcome into the MOY Ploy. I am Jake Harris. I am joined again by the lovely and talented Peter O'Donnell.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. All right, guys. Week 10 is in the books, and the playoff picture, for the first time in the season with only 2 weeks to go, is pretty clear. Now, there's only one team that's been mathematically eliminated, but there have been a couple that are basically statistically eliminated. So
They just need a prayer.
they need a lot of prayer and a couple miracles. Let's get into it. All right, let's show last week's scoreboard. In a absolute trouncing, Gluten Freak goes down to Corona 19s. And this game didn't actually sink my playoff chances, shockingly. But having your studs, like your third best player, put up 13 points feels really bad. Another stomping, the curse of Barkley's bite. Oof, you want to say something about this, PQ?
This is the principle of good, clean living. Ray has said his prayers, he ate his peas, and he has absolutely delivered Barkley's bite.
Yeah, absolutely. And this whole time we thought it was a dog bite. Turns out it was a rat bite, a much more pestilent bite.
When you sleep with rats, you get bit.
Who said that? I feel like that's.
Todd.
Oh,
Todd
that's right.
Moy.
That's right.
The
Quote the
reigning
Moy.
Moy. The reigning Moy.
All
He
right,
will
let's.
be history will vindicate him, is what I
Sure.
know.
Yeah, sure. So then we had an incredibly close game, but it's also one of the most poorly managed games I've ever seen in my entire life. The Avengers takes down the Goat Squad by a margin of just over 1 point.
Did Goat God seal his fate?
Yeah, I'm guessing so, but we're not here to gloat. I mean, goat. I mean,
Debatable.
debatable. So then we have in the final
Ooh,
game, if
this
Moy
could have
then
been.
Moy
It would have been
losing
such
to
a big
Orange
win.
Justice. Imagine putting up the second lowest point total in
And I
the
played the
league
lowest,
and
baby.
winning.
And I played the lowest. It just
That
it
is good,
wasn't a
clean
good
living.
Borden is, it was a great week for Borden, and then it was a bad week for Borden. The birth of his third son, Charles Ramsey Smith III,
Welcome,
son,
Prince Charles and King Ramesses.
and then it had to end on such a sour note.
Yep. Rest in peace.
Wrist and pepperonis.
Rest in pepperonis, Borden
Season
season.
2020. Does this put to bed? Is that the expression? Put to rest the debate between whether or not you need to show up for a draft?
You
We'll never
know,
know.
I think we know. I think we know.
It's certainly more advantageous. It's to show up
Yeah,
and participate.
to not start in a gigantic hole that you have to unbury yourself from every single season. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, let's take a look. All right, we've got to talk about some mischievous managed. Honestly, this is like one of the most. This is the biggest management failing I've ever seen as a part of the as a part of this league. All right, here's the situation going into the final or into the Monday night game. Phil is leading the is leading the Avengers
We got to do the
by.
math. We got to do some higher level math here.
It was by like, I want to say like almost 20 points. It was
Yeah.
just shy. It was about 18 points.
Huh.
And all he needs is for Adam Thielen to not outscore his quarterback by 18 points. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, who's Adam Thielen's quarterback? Kirk Cousins. Who's a free agent? Kirk Cousins. Who gets points every time Adam Thielen gets points? Kirk Cousins. Now, who should I start? Nick Foles.
He tried to go matchup, but the thing is, the
It
Chicago
didn't
Bears
need a matchup. He needed a win.
they've been horrible on offense for weeks. So It was there. It was he could have by leveraging
I
Kirk
mean, look,
Cousins anytime
think about
Thielen
this, Peter.
scores,
Think about this.
Cousins scores.
Think about this. Would you rather start the worst quarterback in the league, or would you
Or
rather start a player that guarantees you a win?
all right, now he may have knocked somebody out of the playoff picture
Oh,
in the process,
I'm not bitter about this at all. I didn't need Phil to beat Todd Craig. All right, I desperately needed Phil to beat Todd Craig, and I was
but it
praying.
certainly
And
it
he
makes it
starts
interesting.
Nick Foles. Who
It's
starts Nick Foles?
the question is Philly does Phil make the playoffs? He's got 2 weeks.
He
He's
doesn't
gone double
deserve the
QB.
playoffs.
He's gone double QB strat. He plays uh
It looked like he went
I think he goes
one
against the
QB
two
strat
highest
last week.
I think he goes against the 2 highest scoring teams in the league. He goes against Corona 19s and Todd Craig's Avengers. Oof. Will he
It
make the
was,
playoffs?
and you know the other thing that he did that really bothered me is he started Cardinals defense against Buffalo, like a
Spicy.
high octane offense. And it's not like the Cardinals
Spicy.
defense was doing anything. They were like in the teens when it came to their position and their average points per game, like in the teens. And like there were other options out there. Like there were so many ways that he could have gotten himself those points. And you know what? He was gifted 15 points by his kicker. He was gifted the second best tight end performance on the week from Hunter Henry. Gifted 30 points by Josh Jacobs. And he blows it by starting Nick Foles. I'm just like, I saw that and I literally felt ill. Could
I
not
mean,
believe.
that could be that's he had 2 strong QBs. He'd been going QB strat all season and the QB failed him.
Yeah,
QB got
because
him.
the QB was Nick Foles.
He could have
Nick Foles.
he drafted Tom Brady. That's what I remember. He is the GOAT god.
Dude, dude,
Will
come on,
Devontae
man.
Parker will Devontae Parker produce down the line and get him
Come on, man.
and deliver him to the playoffs? We'll find out.
Come on, man.
All
That
right,
was
let's
the
roll.
worst.
Let's
I gotta move on, or else I'm never gonna talk
salt
about anything else.
salt of the earth.
Oh, Salt Bay. All right,
All right, who's
so
on the
we got to
panic bus?
talk about the panic bus, and the choice is obvious. Phil is the only one still riding the panic bus. Borden's just about been mathematically eliminated. I have just about been mathematically eliminated. Um, I'm gonna. It really Borden would have to outscore the next. I think you're the currently if it ends now, you're the fourth seed, Peter. He
Hmm.
would have to outscore. You would have to lose out. He would have to win out, and you would have to he would have to outscore you by over 150 or something insane like that
Ooh,
in the next two games.
ooh.
So like he's just done. He's just done. But Phil is on the panic bus. He's 5-5. If he wins out, I suspect that one of the four teams that are sitting at 6-4, I believe it is Todd Craig, Brent, yourself, and Ray Mertz. Um, they're all sitting at 6-4. I suspect that one of those teams, at least one of those teams, is going to go 0-2 to finish the season. So if Phil can pick up, he's got no prayer at winning in tiebreakers. He has to go 7-5. He has to finish out 2-0 in order to make the playoffs. He is not going to get there in tiebreakers. He would have to outscore the next team by like over 200 points. Like he'd need an absolute miracle. So he has to go 7-5.
And what's nice about Phil is that he plays, or no, I'm sorry. I thought Phil plays week
Phil's got a
12
tough
you.
schedule. Yeah.
But he plays this week Corona 19.
Yeah, Phil's got a very difficult schedule. He's got I think, the most difficult schedule. He's facing the two highest teams that we rated in the power rankings. My team, since the power rankings, has sustained
On
several more injuries. But I think my team's going to be healthy by the time it faces Phil in the final week. So he could be staring down the barrel of Christian McCaffrey, Kenny G, people like that. So, but yeah, that's the panic bus. All right. Let's take a look at, man, I'm just so depressed. Let's take a look at the art of the steal. I mean, the
Ooh,
investigation. I mean, the Rat Pack.
the Rat Pack. What can we say about the Rat Pack? Rat Mertz,
That
Snake
hasn't a
Harris, Cheater O'Donnell. Three scummy, sleazy members of an organization that they say use the commissioner of the league like a puppet.
like
They
a
pull the
puppet,
strings.
like a puppet, dude. All right, so let me open up the trading window that's happened. So there have been a lot, a lot of trades, but only some of them have gone through. Peter, do you want to expand on that while I pull this up?
I accepted a trade. It was declined. We all know that I have not I have not engaged in any trades this entire season. I went counter meta and there was intervention by the commish. He shut it down. Not a single trade as far as I know went through. No, I don't think the kicker swap went through. And
Take a look at this. Here is the original trade that started it all. I can probably zoom in a little bit here. All right, so there were two trades that went down. There was Robbie Anderson for David Montgomery, straight up. And I was like, okay, Robbie
that's so
Anderson
spicy.
hasn't been doing awesome recently. You know, I get that. But then I looked at David Montgomery. He's averaging 12 points per game. He's been doing terribly. And
He's
and
injured.
he is injured. And to me, if you're trading away one of your best wide receivers for a player who's injured and not that good when he's healthy, that's a red flag. Then I
Big
saw the
red
next
flag.
trade, and the thing is, I pushed these through. The league manager, look at this. You can see right here, processed by league manager.
Yeah.
So I woke up, saw those trades when I
You're
think
like,
I think I was middle of working. I saw those trades
and you're like,
and
yeah,
was like,
you pushed the
sure.
trade through.
I
That's
just
how you roll.
I pushed the trade through. I didn't think about it. And then when I went back and looked at the trade later, and I saw Deshaun Watson, who is at the time was the sixth best quarterback, and he was being traded for Philip Rivers, at the time 26th best quarterback, and
Oof.
Amari Cooper, a receiver who started great, but
But since Dak
since
Prescott
Dak
went
Prescott's
down,
been injured, he's been kind of bad.
it looks like he's had
And
he and then Andy Dalton
he
and
was
then
on
Andy
a
Dalton's been
bye
out.
week as well, which just seemed suspicious. And the more I thought about this trade, the more I realized that Amari, like this trade it really smelt of we've been through it all though. It really smelt of collusion, or not even not collusion, but malicious intent to throw the league in Brent's favor. So then we have to fast forward. There is it's a flurry of trades that takes place. Here's me testing to see if I can force a trade through. Yes, I traded all of Peter's good players to me and then traded them all back to him. And then I reverse the trade, and that's when the shit show begins. So hang on, look at all this. All right, so we have a trade that was re-accepted, the same trade that got rejected. Gonna go ahead and league commissioner decline that one. Boom, trade got vetoed. Then we have another very lopsided trade by you, trading away Clyde Edwards. Hilarious. It's hilarious how bad this guy is. He's had 3 good weeks, and the rest have been pretty bad. And Derrick Henry, who has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 good weeks. And oh, did I mention he's the number 4 running back on the season? Oops. Oops. Then we have Derrick Henry going for the dirt cheap price of Melvin Gordon, who has been literally abysmal since he came back, and Travis Fulgham, who's been very good, but it just Travis Fulgham for Derrick Henry is not an acceptable trade. That if
Not
you
for the
see
number 4 running back.
not for the number 4 running back. It's not a good trade. Derrick Henry, in a position that's more valuable, puts up more points per game than Travis Fulgham does.
Yeah.
By a pretty good spread too. Let's see. James Robinson, 18 points per game, gets traded for Justin Jefferson, 15 points per game. Again, a very important position, traded for a dime a dozen receiver. And then just out of spite, the two of them try to trade one more time, a kicker swap. That's when I just was laughing to myself, declining that one because it was just pure petulance and desperation. Then we have yet another trade, and this one looks legit in my mind. Borden gets to address his running back situation, but he pays dearly for it. Brent really is brenting people over on these trades. He gets DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin, and Borden must think he still has a shot. You don't, Vito, in order to pass this trade through. But I like DeAndre Swift. He's been playing very well recently. He's been getting a much larger target opportunity share, and I think he could be a workhorse back coming down the stretch.
That would be an achievement unlocked. DeAndre Swift traded from Borden's team and then back to Borden's team.
That's true. Yeah, Brent, you did unlock the achievement. Congratulations, giving back players that they trade to you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was quite a mouthful, and that was the art of the steal. I mean, the art of the investigation. I mean, the Rat Pack.
The Rat Pack.
All right, guys. Rat Pack out of the way. We've got a little Week 11 preview for you. Let me go ahead and pull that up.
It's time to tease some scenarios.
Did I get that? Yes. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull that back up then.
11.
All right. So the first game of the week is Gluten Freak versus Todd Moy Forever. Father, son. Gluten Freak's team has been floundering recently. Todd's team has been good.
Projected points
And by
calls it
good,
a
I mean
push.
bad. Yeah. So this one, in my opinion, is a coin flip. Christian McCaffrey's not back. My team has just laid egg after egg for me. They just keep getting injured. I don't know what to do. Next up, we've got this game is the first game with true playoff implications.
I
Obviously,
feel like
if
it could
Todd
be the
beats,
game of the week. I think it might be the game of the week.
I have an outside chance at making the playoffs, but I basically need to dominate the next 2 weeks. Phil has his destiny is in his own hands, in my opinion.
I consider
He
this
only
the
needs a
game of the
little
week
bit of
for
help.
sure.
I'll give it to you. Yeah, 100%. Corona 19s. He really, in my opinion, if he goes 6-6, as long as one other team goes 6-6, that's not Todd Craig's team, then he'll make the playoffs. But if Todd Craig goes 6-6 and he goes 6-6, and the rest of the league, the rest of the guys go 7-5, Brent will get bumped. So Brent has an outside chance of not making the playoffs, but it's unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's a great game of the week because Goat's whole season rides on this game.
It's all on.
He
It's
could
all
be
on the
game of the
line.
week the next 2 weeks, dude.
I wonder if he's making any trades to try and beef up his starting roster before the end of the year.
Why would he? He's got Nick Foles.
Nick Foles.
All Barkley, no bite is going up against Orange Justice.
This is a great game. Barkley's missing some key components that should be back in time for the playoffs if he
What's nice
makes
about
it.
this game is the winner of this game, no matter who it is, seals their spot in the playoffs. So this is big for both of them, as it takes the winner off of the trading block. I desperately need Barkley's bite to bite Orange Justice, and for you to lay an egg, because honestly, if I make the playoffs, it's going to be through you.
The
I would
curse
need to
of Barkley's bite.
I'd need to outscore Barkley's bite by quite a bit. And we'll get into the playoff picture here in a little bit. In the last game of the week, we've got If Moy Then Moy versus the Avengers.
They're calling for a blowout.
They're calling for a blowout, and it's not surprising. Borden's team is really just not that good anymore. He's had very disappointing weeks several times now. And looks like I believe the Avengers has his full starting lineup to bear against Borden without. Yeah, there's nobody on bye week that is like one of his staples. So he's feeling the full power of Tyreek Hill, Adam Thielen, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, Darren Waller, James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott? Question mark. Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray. That is a strong freaking lineup. So we'll see. But I really would imagine that Borden's season ends here and that the Avengers locks in their playoff bid here.
All right, who are your four? Give me your four seeds for the playoffs as of now in your mind.
Well, let's take a look, since you called for it, at some secondary matrix. So we'll pull up the standings here. All right, so here's the matrix as they stand right now. In first place, the Avengers. Second place, Corona. Third, Barclays. Fourth, Orange Justice. How far apart are those teams really? So, one of those teams is likely to go. They're likely to go 6-6. It's just mathematically that's what's likely to happen. Let me see if I can also pull up the schedule so I can reference that as we go. So let's take a look. Peter, you play Ray, so one of those teams is going to be 6-5 at the end of this, and then Ray plays Todd Craig. So there's a chance that if you beat Ray and then Todd Craig beats Ray, he's 6-6. Let's see who's got. If Brent loses to Phil and then loses to Borden in the last week, he's 6-6. Todd Craig has to beat Borden and then Ray. And who's the last 6-4 team? You have to beat Ray
And then
then
I go up against
MOY.
the one, the only, the Moy. Can he have one last great week?
And so what I really need is I am desperately so the way the playoff picture shakes out is that I am hanging in there barely. And the only way I get in is if Phil goes 6-6. I'm likely to beat him in tiebreakers because I'm about 30 points ahead of him. That's not assured, but it's a possibility. Then we look at the one that I could possibly catch. So I would have to outscore Ray by 91 points
Ooh.
over the next 2 weeks, which is 45 points per game. Possible, not unlikely, but not impossible. But
Do
I
you
would
wish
only
you
have to
had made
outscore you by 40 points over the next, or 46
more
points,
possible, very
which
more
is
possible?
just 23 points per week.
Yeah,
And with the way your team's been laying eggs, yeah,
definitely.
anything's possible, bro.
Do you wish you had made head to head the tiebreaker?
Because my points for are so bad. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, because I've lost to like everyone in this league at least once.
It
So
looks like
it
I've
wouldn't make
lost
any
my
difference.
bet. I've lost my bet when I said Todd would outscore Ray Rat Mertz. Didn't happen. Rat Mertz has had a season to remember. Is Rat Mertz Moy?
He's making a strong case for it, honestly. Let's go ahead and talk about it. The race from Way.
Rat Mertz. Let me outline a case for Rat Mertz. It's an underdog story. It's the type of person that gets picked on in a fantasy football league. And I'm proud of Rat Mertz. He's lost his number one pick. And yet he still continues. He's put up some of the higher scoring games in the season when his
I
team
feel like
popped off. So
Rat
give it
Mertz.
up for
Let's
the
take
Rat
let's
Pack,
take an
Rat
inside look
Mertz.
at the Rat Pack here. So he's got at the quarterback position, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the number 2 quarterback currently. He's on his bye week, so he's obviously going to drop back down. I think he's like 3 or 4 in points per game average. So Josh Allen was a later round pickup quarterback by Ray.
Yeah.
Um, he called for the Ray was calling for the breakout of Josh Allen, and it came through. And
Ray's
Ray
big
has
addition.
combined that with Stephon Diggs. They've been a fantastic
Mm,
stack. It says receiver 1, but don't pay attention to that. Average points per game is what you're really looking at because
yeah.
he hasn't had a bye week yet. And I think Stephon Diggs is sitting somewhere around like the 6 through 10 range of average points per game. And
Fantastic.
what makes this team explosive is that when one of these guys has a good game, the other has a good game.
Yep.
And you can see the stretch in here where Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs were not doing well, and that's when Ray lost a bunch of games.
Mhm.
When Josh Allen wasn't doing great, neither was Ray's team. And I see that trend continuing into the future. Ray has also had a great pickup with had a great pick on Dalvin Cook. Was just sitting there for him. He's gobbled him
Second
up in the
round.
second
Yeah.
round, and it's been wonderful.
And then don't forget his big addition off waivers, T. Higgins from Clemson University. T. Higgins has been an
Yes.
absolute monster. That dude, if you watch him play, he looks like a massive tight end, but he's actually a wide receiver. He runs a like a 4.40 or something, maybe a
Yeah.
4.5. He
What's
might be
deceptive about
slow with the
T.
4.5, but
Higgins?
he's like 6'5". He's massively.
What's deceptive about T. Higgins is it says his average points per game is about 14, but that's really not the story of T. Higgins. What you're really looking at with T. Higgins is like this week 3 on. And those are some legit numbers 21, 13, 10, 18, 18, 14, 22. That is a high floor and a high ceiling. And what's crazy is I don't actually think we've seen his ceiling yet. We haven't seen the game where he gets 7 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So
It's
his
true.
ceiling is close to 30 points. Like that is a great play out of a receiver. Now,
And
Chris Godwin,
Ray also picked up Rob Gronkowski, who over the past 5 weeks has only had one dud, really. At the tight end position is a bleak
yes,
area to begin with. So
yes,
the
yes.
fact that Ray has picked up
Ray went for
uh
Old Busted, and this is the first time Old Busted is really paying off for him this
I
in his
think Ray's
fantasy career.
roster is the best right now of the playoff contenders, and I have him as the number. I think he is the favorite, not only to win it all, but to win MOY.
Wow. And
Wow, Rat Mertz
here's another. I'm gonna give it up to Ray. I can't stand that I'm doing this, but look, the Rat Pack has to stick together.
together. We endorse our candidate for MOY, Rat
The Rat
Mertz.
Pack, baby, the Rat Pack. All right, so Snake Harris. I gotta point out, like, if you look at his receiving core, he went out on a lot of limbs. Chris Godwin was uncertain with how he was going to play with Tom Brady. Calvin Ridley didn't really get it done the previous year. And to be honest, he hasn't done great this year, but that's, it's mostly due to injury. He got injured week 4. No, I think he just got blanked week 4. Maybe it was like a little bit nicked up. Got injured week 8, didn't play, and then had the bye week. T. Higgins, wonderful free agent pickup. Never heard of him before. Gronkowski, I buried him a long time ago. I didn't think he was going to do anything.
Hmm.
Deontay Johnson, great late round. I had my eye on him. I was pissed that I didn't get him, and definitely more pissed. Another one of those guys that like when he's in the game and healthy, he's putting up big points. Uh,
He can put up big points.
he got
He's
injured here in
volatile.
Houston. He got injured here in Philly. Then he put up big points. I don't remember what happened in Baltimore. Big points in Dallas, big points in Cincy. So like, yeah, he's volatile. He's high ceiling, low floor, but I like those guys. I would rather have him on my team than play against him. And then like Antonio Gibson, he picked him up in a trade that
Yep,
ended up looking like a very good trade for him because Chase Edmonds,
fell
Chase,
off.
yeah, just didn't do anything.
Never did a thing.
Picked up J.D. McKissick, who's been on fire recently. He picked up Alan Lazard, who was great at the beginning of the season. And one player that I'm not sure why he's still on his roster is Marquise Brown.
All right,
Dude
I want to
has
talk
done
about my number
stuff.
two. My number two team that I'm most worried about in the fantasy football playoffs is the Avenger squad. And that's because they have an incredible QB stack in Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers. Um, do I think that they're God, I I go back and forth. I like Brent's teams too. If I make the playoffs, I'm clearly the number 4 roster here.
Yeah,
And I do not want to see Ray in round 1.
I really
I
thought that we
know
were
that much.
I really thought that
I
we
do
were
not
going
want
to
to
have
see Ray.
some more injuries, but the thing is, coming down the stretch, um, these 3 teams that are on top have stayed healthy.
Yep.
And we've seen it year in, year out. The teams that stay healthy are generally the teams that perform well. And I would look at Todd Craig's team. and it is a miracle that they are still together. Like Todd Gurley's literally playing on crutches, and he just keeps falling into the end zone. Like 1, 2 weeks, two
He's a
weeks
tutty
without a
freak.
touchdown. He's only had 2 weeks without a touchdown. And look at this. He's not even being used in the passing game. His floor is so low, but he just keeps falling into the end zone. I don't want any piece of that because, like, I just keep telling
Points.
myself, how is he going to? There's no way he can sustain this. And then he just keeps doing it. James Conner, the glass cannon, more glass than cannon these days. He hasn't been playing very well. But, like, again, who would have thought this guy would be healthy all year long? Like it's crazy. Now the biggest disappointment is obviously Ezekiel Elliott. This guy is not playing like Zeke right now.
Yeah, that's a low.
But he's overcome. He's been buoyed by his by the best receiving core in our league this year: Tyreek Hill, Adam Thielen, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen.
Yeah. So like you can
When
overcome a
Cooper
bad
Kupp
first
is your
round pick.
worst receiver, you're in a good spot.
There were only 2 first round picks in my mind that hit. I thought it was Brent's pick, Alvin Kamara, and then was it Phil's pick, Patty Mahomes. Patty Mahomes has had a really great season.
Pat
So I
Mahomes
really
was
thought those
great.
were the only
Kamara
2
was
big
great.
hit.
Well, I think Derrick
Lamar
Henry was.
Jackson has been a flop
You got to give
for
it up to
where.
Derrick Henry.
No, I thought he went Lamar Jackson first round.
Technically, no.
Oh, okay, so he went Derrick Henry first. Well, then that doesn't
Yeah,
count.
yeah,
Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry has had a great season in my mind.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So,
Yeah,
moral of the story:
I agree. I think
don't
his
make
team is
don't make
very strong.
blatantly don't make blatant. I got the solo screen. The moral of the story is this: don't be making trades that are blatantly wrong and show a lack of balance.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I accidentally stepped out of the room there for a second. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I wasn't ready for my monologue, my solo. You caught me off guard. I was like,
Wait, where'd he
okay.
go? All right. So, Peter, think about this. Are you ready? Are you thinking about it?
Yeah, I am.
Brent has Russell Wilson.
I know. Brent's roster is stacked.
Brent
I
has
don't, I'm scared of every
Alvin.
team in the
Brent
playoffs.
has Alvin Kamara.
Fear.
Brent has DeAndre Hopkins.
Hmm?
Brent has Travis Kelsey. Brent just picked up DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin. Brent's receiving core now rivals Todd Craig's. He has DeAndre
So
Hopkins.
is that trade
He has
going through? Is
DK
the
Metcalf. I'm not going to stop it because I think that it's between two teams that are contending, and
yeah.
I see it as Borden's paying a high price, but the running backs are the higher. It is the higher value position to get production out of because it is a much shallower player pool to pick from.
So
And
Brent's loading up on wide receivers. Who are his 2 running backs going to be in the playoffs?
in my mind, it is going to be Alvin
Rojo
Kamara no matter what.
and
And then it's
Rojo.
going to be Ronald Jones and David Montgomery based on the matchup.
Wow.
Well, sorry, Chris Carson is there. So Chris Carson.
God, he got DK Metcalf and McLaurin, Terry Mack.
Yeah. I mean, he really, in my opinion, he really bent Borden over, taking
Brent
advantage of the fact
over.
that Borden just doesn't have running backs right now. But I think, in my
I wish I
opinion,
could have traded with Borden. I have
I do
some
too.
running
I
backs.
think that Borden.
God.
I look at the trade, and I don't think Borden realizes he's been eliminated. Um, let's take a look. Oh, I did. Stop sharing my screen 1 second.
Brent
Let's take a
over.
look at the standings real quick. In order to just beat you, Borden would have to win out, you would have to lose out, and Borden would have to outscore you by 151 points the next
Hmm.
2 weeks.
No.
That's 75 points per. That's Borden putting up one. Like let's say Borden puts up 200. That's you putting up less than 120 or less than 125 the next 2 games.
Look, Borden
Borden
just
puts
had
up
a
200.
Borden had literally the worst possible fantasy week he could have
And I
possibly
think
had
Borden
with
just
DK
traded away
Metcalf
two
and
of his.
Michael Thomas having
Yeah, I think Borden traded away two of his
horrible
highest ceiling
performances.
players in McLaurin and Metcalf as well. So I just
Yeah.
don't think Borden's going to be able to get this done. Um, Now, I think going back to Brent's team, he's assembled a very, very talented roster. He's made trades with the weaker teams, really exploiting their weakness, their positional weakness, and he's come out ahead on most of his trades. I
Do you
gotta
like Brent
say,
from Moy? Say it. Do you
I
like Brent
don't.
from Moy?
I don't. And the reason is it's got nothing to do with. I just think he got lucky. I just think that I look at his team, his only notable injury is David Montgomery. Like he's rostering someone who's unemployed. You can't tell me that like that you can't tell me that he's a good manager. He's Jordan Howard, this man right here. This
He's
man's
unemployed. He's
he's
unemployed.
unemployed. This
And he's
guy,
on your roster.
he's unemployed. And you're gonna tell me this is
So
the Moy. No, dude. He's also kept T.Y. Hilton, who's averaged less than 7 points per game on his roster all season long. Look, he's made the fewest waiver moves of any team, I believe. I think that let me see if I can find that really quick. Yeah, transaction counter. So the transaction counter, um, let's take a look. I have pulled off the most amount of trades. Oh my God, I've made 11 trades, or maybe I've traded for 11 players. I don't know, but I made 11. It says 11 on my trades. I have made 29 roster acquisitions compared to Brent's 7. Like Brent hasn't felt the need to improve his team because he's just been lucky. If any of his players go down, he just left his bench abysmal. That is not the sign of a good manager, in my opinion. I think that he's lucky to be where he is with a healthy team. And I think like in the weeks where his
has
guys,
Travis Kelsey been the best second round pick in the sense that it fills an incredibly bleak position? He has an every week starter.
yes,
Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like
Travis
Travis Kelsey
Kelsey
has had
will
a good,
probably be a first round pick next year.
yeah.
It does
Your
feel like that.
dad, I'm stunned your dad let multiple Chiefs players go past him in the draft. Is
There's
your
a lot of
dad's
thing.
I does your dad
I might be creating an award called WOY because oh my god, from first to worst, like talk about some decline there, dude.
Man, his team, I
Oh,
thought he had a good team too, but he's found a way to manage his roster into the ground. He had elite QB production.
very questionable moves. And like his team, he doesn't have elite QBs. Like
Yeah,
uh,
that's fair.
he's got two.
Lamar hasn't been exceptional.
I would say he's got like two top 8 quarterbacks, which that means he's got two QB1s in our league, which is good, but not elite. It's not like a 2 and a 5 or anything. It's a 9 and a 7. So he's got
Hmm.
two guys that are just outside. They're right on that QB1, QB2 territory. So that ends up basically being the league average where you have one QB1 and one QB2. He just has both of them but squished together instead of like, an elite
Yeah,
and then a sub elite.
yeah.
Um, and the thing is, he paid the iron price for Lamar Jackson, and he drafted Deshaun Watson was the next quarterback off the board after Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. So he paid the iron price for both of these guys, and luckily he made a huge free agent acquisition in James Robinson. But he's
Otherwise, his season could be even worse.
I know. I know. He had a late round flyer on Robbie Anderson that turned out to be huge. One other one of his bust picks, Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson just not been getting it done.
Is the
Um,
Rat Pack unfairly scrutinizing Lemoyne, who history will show is vindicated. I don't know what that exactly means, but history will show that he was vindicated.
Wait,
Well,
history will
it
show that
will
he
show-
was vindicated.
I don't. We'll have to get clarity on
The
that.
timeline on that is
Yeah,
blowing
I
my
know. We
mind.
gotta. we'll have to. We'll have to get clarity on
So
that.
history, something that took place in the
In the
past,
past, will
will show
show
that he was
he was
vindicated
vindicated.
before the
It's
history
yeah.
took place.
It's he's created a
It's a paradox.
yeah paradox of the time paradox.
Yeah. All right. So I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah,
There's one other team I think we have to talk about for Moy. I think we have to discuss Todd Craig.
yeah.
Um, Todd Craig, he has been much more active than Brent on the waiver wire. He has made 18 moves to Brent's 7. And, it's not about the number of moves because making moves just to make moves, such as my dad, it can be detrimental sometimes. I think, but I do think his bench is very weak. I think he's carrying Mike Gesicki, nothing. Evan Ingram,
Yeah,
nothing.
Brandon Ayuk. I'm okay with carrying Brandon Ayuk. He's had some great
I
performances.
agree. Brandon Ayuk is a great player. Sterling
Dude looks
Shepard's a
like a
great player. Tony Pollard is a good ad for a guy who has Zeke Elliott. Um, his bench is not like Adrian Peterson shouldn't be rostered. There's a couple of guys on his bench that I think he could improve. Let me just look at the what's out there right now. I think you could grab and stash David Johnson. There'd be more value there because he's just out with concussion, correct?
so he'll be out I think 2 more weeks.
Yeah. Marvin Jones has been tearing it up recently. Kenny Galladay might not play again this week. Um, there's just there's some like higher value guys like grab and stash Deebo Samuel, pick up Damian Harris. Zach Moss would be a great stash if anything happens to Devin Singletary because Zach Moss actually gets the goal line work and then he would get the work between the 20s as well.
Hmm.
There's some guys that like Todd Craig, and I feel like a lot of people in our league don't understand this that like having someone like Philip Lindsay on your team is a limited upside player. He's not involved in the passing game. Like if anything happened to Melvin Gordon, sure Lindsay would be in play. But like let's more accurately, Adrian Peterson, very low upside player. If anything happened to the DeAndre Swift, Adrian Peterson's not the starter. He's still in a timeshare with Kenyon. What was his name? Carry on Johnson, Mike Gesicki, tight ends who produce an average of 8 points per week are a dime a dozen. I just think there's several different ways that he can improve his bench with by taking some lottery tickets. But I think that he's managed his way around Ezekiel Elliott having terrible games very well, uh, and I think that he's just kind of stayed the course and been steady. And I think there's something to that.
He's got a
But
strong quarterback stack
I think
as
he's
well.
done more to improve his team than Brent has, though. Um, and the last one, I'm not going to let the show go without talking about you. Of course, we're going to talk about
One of the members
Peter O'Donnell, another
one of the
member of
members
the
of the
Rat
Rat
Pack.
Pack.
Look, rats.
Skeezy, slimy, dirty.
The Rat Pack's got to have the Rat Pack back.
Back. All right, let me make my case for Moy.
Sure.
Sure. Uh, I don't know if I have a strong case for Moy. I actually haven't scored any of the points close to the other three members who are I think Ray has more
I'll
points
make
than
your
me.
case
All
for
right,
you.
you go ahead. I'm not helping.
No, your first round pick busted. Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
Busted.
big bust. Didn't do what you needed him to do. You lost Devonte Adams for a decent chunk of the season for 3 games. That's not nothing. And he got injured. He basically wiped out his game against Detroit as well. So it was really 4 games because he got injured in that game.
Hmm.
You look at like you've gotten production out of low draft picks such as Jamison Crowder. You got a lot of production out of free agent Mike Davis.
Mm-hmm. Tyler
You've
Boyd.
gotten
Tyler Boyd, I
production
don't
out
know
of.
how high I got him, but
You were one of the only people to grab the backup to your stud. You grabbed Jamal Williams. You got great production out of him when Aaron Jones was gone.
mm-hmm.
You've been making moves happen.
I'm
Just
waiting for Ray's star
and look,
stud
you're
Dalvin
doing
Cook
it
to go down.
without elite production at quarterback.
Yeah,
And I think that's the big
I
thing. You
feel it.
don't have elite tight ends. You don't have elite running backs, but
I just
you've pieced together a winning team and you just managed to find running backs off the waiver wires. There's just always happens to be another running back that you find and are willing to start.
I
And I think
just had
that's
my first big QB performance. Well, actually, two back-to-back QB performances by Ben Roethlisberger have. I mean,
yeah,
Ben Roethlisberger had 29 points this week. I
Ben,
break
Big
30. I'm pretty
Big
sure
Ben's
this
got a
entire year.
Big Ben's got a pretty decent fantasy schedule in the playoffs, so
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how it
Mm-hmm.
goes. But yeah, I think that's your case is that, you don't have an overwhelming team, but you have the same record as the big dogs. I think that you
That's
have
right.
have really had to flex your managerial prowess more than the other two. But I will say this for the voters: consider this: if you vote for Peter, it doesn't matter, folks. Oh, I've been on the Rat Pack slide this whole time. Sorry, folks. Folks, you must be present to win.
The
And
MOY.
Peter, are you coming back from South Kakalaki to pick up your Moy Award?
I would if I actually win MOY, I will have no choice but to purchase a ticket.
No
Wow.
way.
He
No
would be
way.
I would be voted to fly in.
All right. Well, I think
That
I
would
might
be
vote for you
I
then.
would I would
Cat, cat, cat.
request my request would be that it be at the um AFC Championship game when the Chiefs play.
Mm, that would be good.
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yeah, dude. The
That'd be good.
Chiefs. That'd be pretty sick.
All right. This has been
I'd
way too
risk it
long of a
all.
show. It's been
Yeah.
47 minutes, but guys, I
It's
had
for the
fun.
people.
It's for the people. Let's be real. It's mostly for us.
The 2 cent show. One of the members of the Rat Pack,
Yeah,
Rat Mertz, he
he was
calls it the
burning
two
us
cent
down.
show. This
There's
one's for
reason that
you,
there's
Rat Pack.
flames around the Rat Pack.
This one's for you, Rat Pack.
This one's for you. All right, guys. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for listening, and
Catch you
we
next
will
week.
catch you in the next one. Later.
Later.